A very sleepy Remy. We will have the fire going soon for anyone that likes it. It's just turning now in the fall, or autumn as we say in Europe. Just about to turn, so we'll have that warmth in the room with us soon. 3 demonic agendas in the narcissist. You know, when we use the word demonic and devil and evil and dark energy and the dark triad, it puts some people off because they want to stick with the psychological definition of a narcissist's behavior and call it a mental illness. And that is perfectly okay. It's just when you've tasted the behavior of a narcissist, it's the most exquisite, disgusting, evil that I can possibly get across to you, in that it murders the mind, the soul, and the spirit, if we let it. And for that purpose, I'm going to make this podcast and go through what I believe is the entity attachment within the narcissist in relation to the agenda of a narcissist's life. And this is certainly not knocking people who are full-blown narcissists. I would hope that they can modify their behavior when they understand where it's coming from and denounce whatever it is that drives them. But for the purposes of people who have had to deal with narcissists in close relationships and have been targeted by narcissists with things like narcissists making up that you've been violent with them, or narcissists setting you up, or narcissists saying they love you and they're only seeking to con you out of everything, say financial, that you have, or narcissists who are parents and take your children away by psychologically manipulating them. These are some pretty vile and disgusting things that people who are full-blown narcissists, who give in to the malignancy of it and are in a close relationship with you and you threaten their control, or you shine a light too bright, they will try and take you down. So without further ado, let's get into what I would consider the 3 agendas in this spiritual realm of having to deal with this personality type. The first is actually the affliction of a child who gives in to the narcissism within them, perhaps because of the situation they've been born into. There is a great argument that goes on between nature and nurture. Is the person born with a predisposition to become a narcissist anyway? Or does that predisposition have to be fed and nurtured within an environment that is chaotic or pathological or abusive? In any case, the agenda of the demonic energy within that person who feeds their narcissism, who manipulates people to get their needs met, who develops a fake mask, is actually in essence the loss of a soul. So it's the loss of the soul of the host who goes on to become the narcissist. Because narcissists lead destructive lives. They're a destructive force within our societies, particularly in one-to-one relationships. I know that there are exceptions. There are narcissists who use their narcissism to drive them forward with the talent they may have. But invariably, and that may be of a benefit to the world in general, but invariably in their personal lives, they will cause a hell of a lot of destruction. And if they get into a position of power in politics, they can do untold damage, Adolf Hitler being one in question. So it's not a pretty subject, and it's not a light subject, and anybody that has actually interacted and been the target of one of these individuals, I think would be at a loss to call it anything other than evil For if that is not evil, what is your definition of evil? So that's the first win for the devil, so to speak, for want of better terminology. They capture, they infiltrate, they get the young narcissist to do its bidding, the bidding of the creature. And that narcissist's potential to distribute or to become a force for good is lost. In fact, they're a weapon among humanity, as quoted in the book. In my book, Weaponized Love, which describes narcissists as coming essentially with an analogy from a different planet, and I call it narcdom. For anyone that would like to get the book, it's on Amazon, just for what it's worth, giving that information to you, anyone that's new here. The second demonic agenda in the narcissist is, and the third one is very interesting because it's not actually covered, I don't think, an awful lot in our community. So I will get to that, but let's do the second one. The destruction of your soul, when the narcissist parasitically hooks on to you to regulate them in their life and get their needs fulfilled and met. They don't just do it like, having a mental health illness and having a relationship with you. The way they get their needs met is to destroy yours and to destroy you ultimately, if that makes them feel better about themselves, which it generally does, because if you're not good, they are, with their black and white thinking. The worst effect a narcissist will actually be to extinguish the life of another by that person actually being so destroyed psychologically, physically, spiritually, in every possible way human can be destroyed. They think then that there is no hope after a relationship with a narcissist. That's the worst outcome. A narcissist removing a human being from earth. Excuse the way I have to say that, but I have to for YouTube purposes. The next is the agenda, in my opinion, of this demonic creature or force or devilish evil, is to actually do enough destruction to a human being to turn them into the worst version of themselves, in that they become fearful, they become bitter, and they can see no good in other people. They, I suppose, become very disillusioned, and they don't trust easily, and they don't get into maybe another relationship, and they make their lives smaller to try and protect themselves from fear, because it is massive what a narcissist does to you, and it's so hard to describe, as an awful lot of you will have said, to me at different stages, even in coaching. It's so hard to describe exactly to family and friends why we can't move on faster, and why we're, say, unable to go to work, why we're so devastated. It takes a lot of untangling, and this is why this community is so important. It certainly saved me years and years ago, and I know it's still saving people from what you say in the comments. The next effect, the demonic agenda, the next effect it can have is that you will actually then go on to destroy others in a kind of a copycat fashion and think, oh, well, if this is the way life is, I'm just going to, look out for myself only. And you kind of try and copy that on the narcissist. Although that usually with people who have empathy and who have a conscience, maybe a kind of a kick reaction to being so badly hurt that they go on to do that to somebody else. But ultimately, I don't believe that they can continue their lives like that, because they're human beings and have empathy, and it doesn't sit well when you have a soul that is inclined towards good. But in the interim, until you come back into yourself, and see the light in yourself, you may go on to do some destruction to another person and regret it bitterly later. So if the narcissist, the demonic energy can turn one human being into a narcissist, they can go and have a relationship with another human being, and that human being in that energy sphere is so confused they go on and destroy another human being. We have a kind of a chain reaction of evil, so to speak. I guess the ultimate awfulness in the second demonic agenda of the narcissist is to corrupt the soul of another who is not a narcissist, so that they stop living their lives. Once the narcissist has left, the narcissist is actually still living within them because they're so fearful of going out and living their lives. And they never recover from the narcissist, the effect of the narcissist in their lives. And that is such a crying shame, because the narcissist is the greatest illusionist and delusionist that you can come across. It's like interacting with a hologram, and if you take what that hologram says seriously about yourself and allow your brain to internalize that and destroy you, it's such a waste. It is such a waste, so don't let it happen to you. Learn how to recover, get the education about what happened to you, and land back in yourself and come back into your light. We cannot let these entities take us out. We are in a modern day war, in my opinion, because with the use of the internet, with the narcissist more widely being able to travel, I think that they can, and the covertness of it, I think that they are able to do extreme destruction to us. And again, that's the whole agenda, for want of a better word, of my book, in that we cannot let them win. It is imperative that we fight against them. And the way we fight against them is by being good to each other and continuing to believe in good. So I'm going to go back to that, how to fight against them, in a few minutes, but I'd like to first of all cover the third agenda. And I don't think this is covered a lot. Maybe it is, and let me know if you've heard someone else speaking on it. So you get somebody who is stoic, who is so strong, who believes that once they make a promise to someone, say in an intimate relationship, that they must stay married to that person for better or for worse. And worse it is all the time, and worse it gets as the narcissist gets older and is more concentrated on getting their supply from their intimate partner or their best friend or whoever they're closest to, or the parent on the child or the child on the parent. So why I find this so heinous is that good person lets the narcissist feed off them, but is too strong to destroy. So that person carries the light in their life and maybe lives their life in their work situation where they're able to be their true selves, where they're able to be a human being, a good human being, or strive to be a good human being. And, on the face of it, we look at, say, someone in a long-term relationship or a long-term marriage, and we know that they have a difficult partner, let's put it like that, in inverted commas. They're with one of these creatures and they sustain themselves and they stay sane. What's actually happening there, in my opinion, is far, far worse, in that person does not live their full potential. So the narcissist has come against one of the strongest of individuals with one of the most warrior-like abilities to sustain this demon. And because of their morality and the way they believe, you should live your life, they're faithful to this darn narcissist. Those people even in later life, if they have been with a narcissist and they get free, they go on to do incredible things. Because if they've been able to sustain a narcissist and to sustain themselves in that relationship, they've had a full lesson in life, and if they can get the education as to what they were actually dealing with and free themselves of it, they're ready to rock and roll. There's no trying this or trying that, you know, for that person. They go straight to their purpose and they make up for lost years. But in the instant that that person does not escape and goes to the end of their life with this narcissist, the tragedy of it is that they didn't reach their full potential. And that narcissist was able to withhold that person's energy and good that should have been shared, that should have had a good effect maybe on somebody else in their lives. I'm not saying that the person wasn't able to do good in their lives, but I'm saying without the narcissist feeding off them and criticizing them and stopping them from maybe acting on their instincts, making investments or whatever it was they wanted to do, or go on a course or change career, that's a tragedy. So the more education we get out about these people and how we can, I suppose, stop the damage they do or minimize the damage they do in close relationships with us, the stronger humanity and the stronger light we'll get. And on the point of anybody who's in the position where they're very disillusioned and very, very hurt and on their knees, let us say, after a relationship with a malignant narcissist, and you may be saying, I can't trust anybody. I don't want another relationship. I don't believe, Paula, what you're saying about the good in people is true, because I'm so sore, I'm so raw. I totally understand that. I have been there myself and have just wanted to get smaller and close down and do the barest minimal interaction with the world to survive. When you get to that state, there's a challenge that you've been issued. The first challenge was to stand up to the narcissist and say, even if they left you and told you you were a crap person, was to advocate for yourself and say, I am not accepting that. You say, no, I'm not. Even if it was a weak, no, I'm not. You had to advocate for yourself finally, and you may have drifted through life up to this point. I know I certainly did, you know, kind of rolled with whatever happened. Then you have to make a choice and say, well, actually, no, this is me. This is what I believe in. And I don't believe in what you're telling me. And I don't believe in the way you look at life. And I believe in this way of looking at life. And then you have to look at other people and overcome the mistrust. And if you find the good in yourself, those other good people will find you. If you retrust yourself, land back in yourself and practice yourself, I promise you, I have had so many good experiences in the healing journey, met so many amazing people. People that have done things that you wouldn't think maybe were possible, that you'd say, you're making it up, Paula. I have been helped. I have been generously supported when my mind has been blown some of the time with the goodness of people that I've met in the coaching sessions. And it gets better. Was it easy to get there? No. No. Nobody should have to go through what you go through with a narcissist. But if you have had to go through it, you can make it the best experience of your life because of you and because of what you advocate for in yourself and what you decide to go on to do with your life. You may never have the innocence again that you started out with. You know, it's like the time before having children and the time after you have children. life is never the same. But with the experience that you get to realize there are these humans in the world that don't act like human beings, as you and I knew human beings or thought we knew human beings to be before. But what you will discover is that human beings aren't just average. There are people that practice narcissism on the darker side of humanity, and then there are angels out there, absolute wonderful people out there that are genuinely good. People all over the world, I've spoken to people from all over the world, and we're all the same. We are all the same. We all care, we all love, we all cry, we all strive, we all aren't perfect. But please don't give up. Just because you have maybe hit a line of the baddies doesn't mean that the goodies don't exist. So I really want to get this message across. And I promised a person I met through coaching that I would give her, she wrote a book. I mean, this is what people are going on to do after these experiences. So she's written her story, and she's just published her book on Amazon, and the book title is A Modern Day Alchemist, and I hope I say your name right, Annette Boring-Bluse, B-L-O-I-S-E, Bluse or Bluse. I'm not sure if it's a French name or not. So, A Modern Day Alchemist, and you've written how you got back to being your true self after a relationship with a narcissist. So I will try and leave a link in the description. And, please support Annette. So guys, if you want to support the community and help it grow, there's ways of doing that also for free. Subscribe, share, comment. And if you comment, you'll get more podcasts sent to you, because sometimes the algorithm doesn't send you all of them if they think you're not interested. Make a donation, buy a book, whatever you can do to support the work we do here in this community and to fight against narcissism. It may not cost you anything just to do that. And also, go out and smile at someone. I'm not saying do it in a dangerous way, but you know what I mean, if it's safe to do so. Go out and just be you and show yourself for who you are. Pass on a bit of goodness. I had a lovely instant with a friend of mine who met a gentleman and whose hat she liked and he liked hers, and I remember we were going out at the restaurant, and you'll know who you are. The man threw his hat at her and said, "Have it." And she said, "Are you sure?" And he said, yeah, of course. Buy someone a coffee. That's what I'm talking about. The goodness, pass it on. And the people that do pass it on are the ones that it comes back to 100-fold. Not that you're doing it for that, but it creates goodness. It puts it back out into the world. And nobody's perfect. I'm not saying we're all little saints going around, spreading goodness with angel wings on. But we can do the best we can, because that's what the narcissist does in the opposite direction. So I hope the three demonic agendas of the narcissist, we know what they are. And when we know what they are, we can work against it. And not only can we work against it, but we can promote the alternative, which means working as a cohesive force, supporting each other and loving each other. That's it for today, guys. Look after yourselves, and look after yourselves well, and we will see you again very shortly. Thanks for listening.
Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the case of Robin Davis and Carol Saltzman? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing by this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoy this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis.
They want me to die.
What did the other guy say when you told us?
I didn't tell him this. I didn't tell him that they're driving me to suicide.
Yes.
I might have mentioned it. Let me think. I'm trying to think of we had a conversation today and yesterday.
This guy works in this field. Like this is his bread and butter.
Yeah, but why? I don't know if I told him that they're trying to kill me. I don't know if I said that, but I know that because what's the opposite? What else is this? What else is this? What else would this be? This casting me out and having everything the same except for I'm not there and reveling in it. What else would that be besides somebody murdering somebody's, at least their very soul and spirit? What else would it be? My sister and my husband would love me dead because the threat to them is gone. The threat to their masks are gone. The threat to even their money is gone. And so, in fact, one of my ladies talks about that. She talks about that if a narcissist can't get to you any other way, or you've taken away some of their power, you could die. They will stop at nothing. Like, if I'm in, like, I just don't know how to explain this to a judge. Like the vulnerability that I have because nobody has made sure I'm treated fairly. In fact, they've done the opposite. I'm in danger. I'm in danger now. I'm about to be on the streets. If that's not dangerous, I don't know what is. I'm in constant danger, if not just by virtue of this horrible situation, but because eventually they're gonna kill me. If I'm not dead soon, they're gonna kill me. They are killing me. In one way or another, they're killing me. How do I say that to a judge without sounding crazy? That's what they want. They want me to die.
Is that you?
Hello, how are you?
Did your parents really want to name you that?
No.
Okay, so you were kidding. Thank goodness I was nervous.
Oh, that's so funny. I hit your phone call and your